More research things invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professionalism for today's terms only. The investment we're going to talk today will be Ethereum Teach. First, I want to say happy Sunday, everybody, and also happy Halloween to everybody. Respect to recording time of 8:20 a.m. on the Eastern Time on October 31st. Respect to Ethereum current trade $4,214, about 2.58% so far. Respect to overall crypto market is relatively red, right? And on the news front, as I was reading this morning, there isn't anything new that has popped up. But there's some like regurgitation news talking about, with respect to the recent, historical trends on the momentum that we experienced last week. On Bitcoin, Ethereum hitting all-time high, and Shiba Inu, becoming the top 10 tokens, right? But beside that, there isn't anything that is active at the moment. Maybe it's a little bit too early. But as we're seeing right now, we are breaking the $4,250 mark, and Bitcoin seems like we're selling off right now to be testing the 60K. So I want to quickly hop back on the camera before I head off to the gym a little bit. So with respect to the current level, let's just dive into technical real quick, shall we? On Ethereum, it seems like we are forming a death cross slowly, curving down right now at the 60 out of 70. So that means as we cross down, we're going to form the next resistance level of the 3,843 as we crack below the 4,000. Right, and this is going to be contingent on no more news that's coming out later today. Also on top of the fact that Bitcoin is sustained to be the level that we're at right now. But how likely is that? We'll dive into the technicals in a bit for Bitcoin. So it seems like right now the setup is looks like an upward wedge in a way. So ideally coming back down to the more of a normal level at the 4,000. Right, technically it's not real level, it's just a level of flat numbers, but the real level as a substantive consolidation area would be the 3,850, 3,475, 3,150 respectively. Bitcoin right now is curving down, so right now just being sustained because of public investors. And let's take a look at the so our side right now is a 60 out of 70, recurring down. So there's no momentum of reversing back up yet. So ideally coming back down to the next level of 56 to the 54 and the 47, would be the next subsequent levels of reaching down to. But first, we're going to be hovering around the 58,500 first, because that's the first level of the test before we leap down to the next levels. For Dogecoin right now, selling off even further from the subsequent days. We are forming a death cross slowly. We're at the 52. So ideally selling that back down to the 25 to all the way to the 20 would be much more logical. Cardano right now is selling off, which makes sense. We need to test back to the next level consolidation, which is the 191. Well, technically 187 is our new level. 190 is basically just a number of a flat number, like 190, 180. Those type of levels, right? So those will be the next level we get down to as we further cross down. Then you should technically hit below 35 as you get there, and then reverse back up. Solana right now is still selling off, cannot sustain to be above the 200 mark, and we are crossing down. So this is a negative pattern, 56 out of 70. So we're going to come back down to 155, come back down to the 133. 113 might be a stretch because we are at the 55 right now, not at the 70. So I think, buying somewhere around like the 133, 135 would be a good level. XRP right now, we basically between levels, and I think ideally in a better risk versus reward ratio, $1 versus 110 would be better. We're basically hovering like a ping pong ball between the levels, but if we break that, we're going to go down to 93. Polkadots right now, we are crossing downward, so ideally testing back down to 30 all the way to 25 would be much more logical because we have a large gap to be filled. And with respect to Algorand, is currently forming a death cross, as you can see in front of us. That as we cross down, the next level technically we should be going down to would be the 160, 162 to be more specific, and then 152 as technically the bottom. And I think that should be very likely, knowing the fact that we are still at the 50 out of 70. So as we go down to below 35, 150 should technically be the bottom. And the next one. Shiba Inu is currently forming a well-back curvature right now. We are depleting back down to a normalized level, right, where we're running really hot at close to about 92 out of 70. Now we're at the 66. So this is very logical, and this is something we've been talking about for a while now, that whatever's goes up really, really fast, come down just as fast. And the current level that we have right now is being maintained by public investors. And you can see that this was a huge FOMO effects that we've seen based on the volume. But the whales were buying way before, and you could see that specifically at this green candle right here. These 1, 2, and then a bunch of public investors FOMO in, and then kind of subsequently consolidate, and then another pump, and that subsequently translate into this huge euphoria. So right now it's basically the rocket's reversing back down, coming back to Earth. And I think the time of arrival should technically be somewhere around like the first level, right? The consolidated 2833. And I think as we stretch down, technically, because of the fact that we're still at the 70, we should technically go back to the 766 or the 900, if you may. So with respect to the risk management levels, as we deplete the RSI and the MACD respectively, right? The RSI below 35 and the MACD as we form the preliminary cross section, I think that should technically translate into these prices. Ultimately, we want to incur risk when the risk is lower, not when the price is high. Which subsequently have a direct correlation in fact to the risk level, right? And we ultimately in the business of risk mitigations and risk management, and I think these are the much better level for us to manage in comparisons to buying at the peak, right? Which is how a lot of people have struggle with, or frankly be frustrated with, right? So hope this is helpful. Really appreciate it for this Sunday morning, and hope you guys have a great Halloween as well. And stay tuned for the come up. Take care.